So,
All right. Bring in more tools. What's the deal?
we've got the big guns.
So we taking movies or not?
Well, we were hoping if you had a minute at the end, we'd love to get a couple quick quotes from you on why this is important.
Why the CRA in particular, just why that's an important issue right now.
Which CRA?
The EV mandate for advanced clean cars too.
Okay. Who has it?
Sorry.
One of the guys is running it, right? Running the CRA.
So I was waiting on the resolution.
Was it the guy from Michigan that has it, or who'd they give it to?
Joyce?
Yeah. I'm a little irritated about that. They should have gave it to me. A car guy, not just somebody that's on the committee.
In California too.
Yeah, don't record that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Weird politics. Because who would fight it harder? You know? Who would speak with more authority on it? But whatever.
All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm here with Representative Doug LaMalfa from California. So I'm with a fellow Californian who has a beard, loves cars, and you've been in Congress for since
12 years and 6 weeks.
Okay.
Or so.
All right. And I'm sure
8 weeks.
I'm interested in talking about you being a car enthusiast in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Are there more of you? Because guys like us, we feel like maybe we're underrepresented in Congress. And it's nice to know you're the co-chair of the, let me get this right, the Congressional Automotive Performance and Motorsports Caucus.
I'm glad you wrote that down. I would remember all that name.
I wasn't going to remember it.
Yeah. Gearheads would be a good
I like
short
that.
name for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a handful there. My pal Andy Harris, he likes to wrench on. He's got an old Dodge they're working on, and a couple other guys. But it's not a frequent conversation around here. It needs to be more so. So, I'm probably one of the ones that carries the torch pretty good on that. Yeah.
So do they lean on you? Is it because of your California roots? Is it because I feel like our state is really the epicenter of car culture?
That's the thing. California really, I mean, other than like, what was it, Woodward Boulevard in Michigan,
Oh, yeah.
a couple places like that.
Dream
California was really the hotbed of so much automotive, especially on the hot rod side. But we used to have automotive plants there in Northern Cal and Southern Cal.
Yeah.
They built Mustangs not too far from me in Northern California, and I think Van Nuys had plants down there in SoCal. But California's just become unfriendly to all sorts of types of business and heavy regulations and this and that. So you see it moving to a lot of states that have, more friendly labor laws, I guess,
Sure.
is where a lot of the new plants go. I think Detroit ones are afraid to move out of Michigan because of some of the stuff that would happen. But that all said, yeah, it's a hotbed down there with, I think of, one of the big names would be Edelbrock. He was very early on making all those different heads and intakes and a lot of hot rod parts for the Ford flathead, and then the other V8 started to come out after that. And I've always been intrigued by those early rodders, especially. The flathead is just amazing how far that lasted and how far it was able to go. Even was it John Dillinger? Didn't he write a letter to Ford Motor Company saying, "Heck, thanks for making such a great car that goes fast. It's a good getaway car,
Yep.
an affordable V8." And some of the stuff they did to it ongoing there, like the Arden head, that?
Yep.
The Zora Arkus Duntov.
Yep. The Corvette.
Who became the Corvette guy.
Yep.
He was actually a flathead Ford guy before that.
Was he really?
Well, he designed those heads.
Mm-hmm. He's also the mid-engine Corvette guy.
Sure.
Yeah. And finally they got that with the C8. They've been trying for, how many generations of Corvette to...
See, I'm also the owner of a De Tomaso Pantera, so Ford figured it out back in 1971.
Mm-hmm. You have a 351 Windsor in that?
Cleveland motor loss in that, yes, sir. So yeah, Ford beat the C8 to the punch, by about 50 years. So I'm a Ford guy, if you hadn't noticed.
Well, I do enjoy my Fords. I've got a few of my own, a '67 F100. I've got an old Ford GPW. I've had a litany of Ford trucks, Rangers, things like that. What else do you drive?
Where do you want to start? My daily cars, an '03 Mustang Mach 1 in Azure Blue, not too far from what this Petty Blue might be. Bought the 2013 Boss 302 in the color's called Gotta Have It Green. It's pretty lime green, kind of that gold sunburst when the sun hits it. And that's a really great car. You know, at the time, I thought it was about the pinnacle of what Mustangs were, other than maybe what Shelby was out at the time.
Sure.
It's very well balanced, a lot of horsepower, naturally aspirated. You were talking blowers a little while ago. I like the simplicity of how far you can take a naturally aspirated engine.
I agree.
And run it out. You know,
I love the sound of a blower, and turbos are fun, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of complexity that introduces, and there's just something about a normally aspirated, air-breathing engine that's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against the blowers, everybody,
Sure.
but you know, I just like seeing what you can get, and I like being able to get under the hood and actually see stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so that's why the older cars. I also run a '68 California Special Mustang.
Oh, nice.
It's a coupe. I have a
What color?
bullet green.
Very nice.
It's called Highland Green.
Black stripes on that one, or white?
It came with them. I left them off
Okay.
after I painted it. I
Yeah.
wanted a little more lean look. I actually have it. None of the stuff in the grill here, so it looks like the bullet car from the front there.
Nice.
And I even tried to put mufflers on it that kind of would sound like the bullet car a little bit, because you know I love that movie and I love the whole culture of that car. As I told you, I actually got to meet the bullet car. It was on an exhibit here at the Washington Mall a few years ago, and the owner there, who brought it out of hiding after so many years. At the same time, Ford had done a bullet tribute car. I think this was 2019, and so the fellow there whose dad had bought it, that's a great story in itself. Found that he saw the car in a Road and Track ad
Yeah.
in about 1976, and it was a fairly hefty price at the time for a Mustang like that, but it mentioned it was the McQueen car. So
And it was in a barn or a garage, and it had been kind of neglected for a while too, if I remember correctly.
well, the father of that fellow that had it more recently, he had bought it off the ad, but yes, beforehand he'd bought it from some of the people that were involved with the movie production, you know, and so I think that it had changed hands a couple times. The movie company owned it, and then a guy bought it, and then another guy with the movie bought it. I think how it went. Then the father bought it, gave it to his wife, who was a teacher, to drive to school. When the engine finally broke, they parked it in the garage, as he said, for a long time. And there's all these people looking for the car, all the Mustang, you know, devout fans were saying, "Where's that bullet car?" And I guess a couple different times certain people found it, like they got in the garage and stole the air cleaner, this or that, but nothing really bad happened to it. So finally the son, after his dad had passed, wanted to do as a tribute to make the car get on the road again. He didn't really touch it other than what it took to make the engine run and the brakes
mechanically
work and all
sound.
that. Yeah. So it still had all the rough edges from the old paint, and where Steve McQueen marked the tachometer to make sure he didn't over rev when he's doing, because Steve did a lot of his own driving, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Legend.
I could go on and on about the bullet car. I should stop, but getting to touch and see and hear that car was kind of a big moment for me.
Well, I guess we know that you have car guy credentials, so that's good.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
So you represent the 1st District of California, which is Northern California, and you have a pretty rural, lots of agriculture, farmers. Do you have a truck? Is there a truck that you like?
Which one?
Any of them?
The one I bought brand new a long time ago was a '93 Ford F-150 Lightning pickup. Not this electric Lightning
No,
pickup.
the
Don't
old,
anybody
yeah.
confuse that. I actually had a high-ranking utility official say, "Hey, you should get that Ford Lightning." Well, I have one back when it was actually the real deal.
Love that. And they only came in, 3 colors, black, red, and white.
The white didn't come in until a year or two later.
96, 95,
So
something
back
like
in
that.
'93, I had to choose between black or red. And the white came later, which was perfect because you have that song, White Lightning. You know?
And for anybody who's thinking about it, this was the normally aspirated 351. This was not the 2nd generation supercharged 5.4.
Right, which is something else too. But yeah, this had 351 Windsor with the GT40 heads on it, made about 30 more horsepower than a standard Windsor. True dual pipes all the way out back. Some tweaks here and there. I think the tranny had a little tweak. Had a slightly heavier frame than a regular F-150, lowered suspension, 17-inch wheels, which was a big thing at the time.
And they were cast aluminum, and they were directional because you kind of had that spun look to them. Very cool.
They did
wheel.
have that look, but you can put them on either side, otherwise I'd have them messed up. So yeah, and a cool front spoiler and all that, and it's a distinctive truck, and I have it painted a time or two now, and I just use it around the ranch. I don't tear it up, but I use it in my normal farming, where unless I need 4-wheel drive, then I go grab one of them. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that truck. It's definitely one of my favorites. So,
at the SEMA show, I met the guy who's modifying those. He was making. You could only get them as a regular cab.
Right.
There's a guy in Upland, California, who was making the extended cab conversion for those. Which I talked to him a while, but I said I don't want to do that. But he did have. The Lightning came the first couple of years only with 2 bucket seats.
Right.
You did in a center console. Why wouldn't I be able to put 3 people in there? So I finally got from him the console that came in the later years and retrofitted that. So that's where the SEMA show was very helpful for me even back then.
Absolutely. Well, we're here in D.C. because we're talking about the EV mandate and the vote that's coming up for that. Now, you and I, both being from California, were directly impacted by the waiver that California was issued. And
yeah, without an act of the legislature or that, it was just done by
kind of passed through under the wire. Was it in December? And so now there's going to be a vote on it to determine its fate.
Yeah, a Congressional Review Act in Congress to see if that can be required by the other states to also have to follow that. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the vote comes out. Obviously, California choosing its own emissions or its EV mandate, the death of ICE, isn't just a California problem, it's a national problem because manufacturers aren't going to want to make 2 versions of cars for...
Yeah, which frustrates me a little bit because the manufacturers want it really easy and make it all the same. So what they do is they go to the worst possible version and make it all the same as the bad version from an irresponsible state like mine. But there's a little parade of other states that want to be like California too. Like I don't know, there might be 7 states affected by this particular one that want to do this. So that's pretty frustrating because when I go around, I like to talk to normal people instead of just here in D.C.
Yeah.
Nobody wants these cars. When I say nobody, it's like there's
a very narrow use case for them, and
it's usually the elites down in Santa Clara or people that want to use the sticker in California to be able to drive in the fast lane during rush hour. And others that it fits a niche for certain people. Okay, and if you want it, that's fine. But I'm really disappointed in the automakers just going hell bent to say everybody wants these electric cars. I mean, Chrysler really stepped on themselves by whatever they're called now. Stellantis sounds like
something that
sinking ship somewhere or something. But
I was going to say it sounds like one of those medicines that are on TV, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you need Stellantis.
And I like Mopars. It isn't, the Hemi. What a great success story it was all those many years. And I actually visited the dealer a while back to look at a Durango for my wife a little bit here, with the Hemi in it. So, but they're just. They're ruining the automotive experience, and all the young ones nowadays think, well, they don't really seem to care anymore. You know how many? It's surprising how many kids don't bother to get their driver's license until 17 or 18 or whenever their parents tell them to do it. I mean, we were expected to help be drivers back when I was a kid.
I have a 17-year-old daughter.
Yeah,
I'm pushing her, and she's about ready to. She's kind of drug her feet. Now she wants to drive because she wants the freedom. I'm like, see, that's what I've been trying to tell you.
No kidding. No, I had my driver's license by 10 a.m. on my birthday at 16 years old. I was preloaded, ready to go on that, and I was driving that afternoon. I drove my grandmother up to the mountains there. It was the greatest thing, And then I did have available some pretty cool cars. My grandmother had a 57 Thunderbird that she let me drive to high school and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And lunchtime, we'd pop the top off and go cruise around. A couple friends or whatever. It didn't attract the girls, though, man. There wasn't many to pick from, though, either. So,
Well, so one of the problems with the EV mandate is, back to your point of manufacturers choosing one car to build, is that for states that don't follow California, they're impacted as well. It's really easy for people outside of California to say it's a California problem. But the reality is you're making vehicles more expensive for everybody. And I don't think people understand sort of the cancer that we have in California spreads throughout the rest of the country, especially in when it comes to car stuff.
And frequently when I get on a camera somewhere in front of a group of people that maybe from other states too, like, look, I'm from California, don't do what we do, okay? Please. And because that just gives it credence, it gives it, some level of credibility, our bad ideas. And it comes from, the people elect these people to put these decisions in place, and they get mad if they don't have gas stoves anymore, or gasoline-powered vehicles or diesel vehicles, or why everything's expensive.
All the things we love.
Yeah, stuff we love for sure. And everybody seems, when they go to the parades, they love to see the politician or the queen in the big old Cadillac convertible or whatever it is. They like it for that purpose, but then they get back legislating, oh my gosh, I need to get my name on a bill to show that I've helped save the world. And
do you think that's the reason? You know, and why California? Why has California been the hotspot for taking away choice and removing consumers' ability to do what they want to do?
you want me to get political for a minute?
Absolutely.
Because they got a 3-to-1 ratio of Democrats in the legislature, and the governors since Schwarzenegger have been just hell-bent on doing this stuff too. We've gotten the notion that carbon dioxide is bad and harmful and evil, okay? And I'd ask your listeners to say, do you know what percent the atmosphere is made up of carbon dioxide? Do you know that number?
Not off the top of my head. What is it?
What's your guess?
70% or
70? Most people will tell me somewhere, just rough guess, because they got lives. I'm the one supposed to keep track of this stuff. It's between 20 and 50%.
Okay.
Some on the far fringes, it's 70%.
Okay.
So,
and oceans and trees need carbon dioxide.
absolutely, plant life needs it. It would die off if we get below the number that I'm going to tell you in a second. It will start dying off. So, for people to understand how this has been made into a political weapon, the CO2, they're doing stupid things like high-speed rail in California to supposedly
That boondoggle.
save car trips. Yeah,
The train to nowhere that nobody wants.
nobody wants it except for people that get paid to build it and make money off of it. And
nobody will use it.
And a few environmentalists that somehow think this is a win. So the atmosphere is made up of 78% nitrogen gas, 21% oxygen. In third place is argon, 0.93%. And somewhere, when you look at your pie chart, in that last skinny little piece is the other. CO2 is in other, 0.04%. This is what we're completely changing our lives, exporting our economy, until Trump last night at the State of the Union and his efforts to... I was the first one out of the seat when he said getting rid of the crazy EV mandate at the federal level.
It was nice to see that he mentioned that during the State of the Union. Having that kind of visibility and that spotlight turned on is a big deal.
Yeah, so when you get down to 0.04% being the problem, and that's a rounding error, and CO2 is being made the weapon, the scary... You have guys like John Kerry saying it's the
guy that's on the
biggest,
airplane
most
flying
existential...
around?
Yeah, the guy flying to Davos, where all the other planes fly to Davos and have their climate nonsense. So, hey, we need to do things to take care of the air and the water, and I think we're very conscious of that already. But when you have unmanaged forests, because the environmentalists, for example, sue everybody over trying to do a little bit of tree removal, brush removal, and you're going to damage the environment with all this mechanization. Then you burn 1 million acres like happened in my district. This gavel right here is made out of wood that came from that fire that they gave me so I can chair the subcommittee on forestry. This is what you get with the extreme environmentalists.
Well, and then you talk about carbon dioxide. Try having 1 million acres on a fire. You just undid everything that you did at the...
10 years worth of cars in L.A. or
Right.
something like that. Mount St. Helens erupts, more CO2 and other stuff comes out. I mean, we're chasing our tail here, and what we're doing is exporting our jobs and economy to places like China, and they'll eat it right up. They laugh at us for having been in the Paris Accords. They have no intention of following that.
Of course not.
They'll take what we give them. And so when we do this to ourselves, America innovates great technology when it's allowed to. It's not being hampered by regulations or other stupidity. But so our gasoline engines, our diesel engines are better burning and cleaner than they've ever been, right? And I'm not happy with this DEF we have to put in our trucks and things like that. But if it moves in the right direction and allows us to keep diesel trucks and diesel engines, then fine. I'm working on a legislation to make where the federal excise tax on new trucks is eliminated. That was put in place in World War I to help pay for World War I. So on a new truck...
You think we've paid for it by now?
I don't know. Have we paid for the Golden Gate Bridge yet? Okay. They got $11 tolls or something now too. But it's revenue is what it is. But so those trucks cost $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 extra on tax on top of the tax. They'll still collect their sales tax and FET tax on the rubber tires or whatever, but So if we can get rid of that, it might incentivize people to buy more trucks, update them. You got the cleaner engines, safety, and they're pretty cushy too.
What's the next step? So if this vote goes through, the EV mandate is revoked, does that lead into other legislative, hopefully future victories? Does it put you in a place where you could look at things like California's ability to have its own regulations when it comes to emissions and things like that?
Well, California's been getting this ability via EPA waivers for a lot of years. And, back in 50s and 60s, there was a lot of, bad air in the LA basin and other areas. The San Joaquin Valley has that issue. A lot of it blows in from somewhere else. So you can see where things needed to improve. But when you talk about the CARB people in Sacramento, Air Resources Board, gets up every day and thinks up a new mandate. And they make it harder to get our hot rod parts, for example. If you don't get the EO number
100%.
on everything, then you don't get to have the part. Well, I might be the type of guy that gets it out of state and uses it anyway, but, screw these guys. But it's a deal where the bureaucrats don't give a rat's rear end about what we need or what we think. And then, what's sad is to watch the Detroit people all just fall in line. Oh, yeah, we can do these. A few years ago at the beginning of Obama, the CAFE standard for gas mileage was meant to, we had to average 27.5 miles per gallon by X year of all cars that are sold in the American fleet, or any fleet, I guess. That's easy for the Japanese guys. All they make is small cars. But we like choices in this country. We like SUVs and pickups and big cars and all that. So that mandate was something that was being worked towards, and we're kind of getting there. But then Obama comes along, and he wants to negotiate doubling that to, I think the standard was 54.5 mpg. Can you think of a 54.5 mpg car you want to buy or drive?
No.
It'd be like a coffin with 4 wheels on it. So, these tiny little, what's those cars?
The Prius or?
No, I hate those things, but because they represent. I'll stop. But what are those little ones? They're 2-seater.
The smart cars.
Yeah, smart cars.
But not so smart.
Yeah, anything usually with the word smart in front of it that's been proposed by a politician is usually not smart.
If you have to self-proclaim intelligence, there's a problem there, right?
Right, like a man cave. If you have to put man in front of it, is it really a man cave, or something like that?
Right.
I wouldn't call it that,
Well,
so.
It's nice to hear you be real and to meet with a lawmaker that has our best interests at heart, because I think it's really easy to get disenfranchised. How important is it for people like me to come, and you say you talk to the average person, to interact with you, and do people who have something that they want to tell their representative, is it really matter that they write you, that they call you, that they visit you? Does that have an impact?
What's important is the tone a lot of times. When they come screaming at you at a town hall, or they write nasties, or they cuss out my people on the phone, that doesn't get you anything. Like the guy last night at the State of the Union speech, trying to stand up and wave his cane at the president. I know him, I chat with him, he's nice enough to talk one-on-one. And I was only a few feet from him. I wanted to go over and say to him, like, dude, you're not helping yourself. You're making yourself look like a jackass in front of everybody. That does not help your constituents or make them proud at home either. So when the tone of people, if you want to be constructive, and if you have a different idea, let's listen. Let's talk it through, and I'll have my view, and we'll talk about what the differences are and why it might work or might not work. And you hammer it out. And that's a negotiation. That's legislating. So it's important that you speak with your legislator or their representatives in a constructive fashion. And that's what I try and do with my colleagues of all types too, even the bureaucracy, which I want to, hurt sometimes. But it's, for example, what we're talking about here, our new EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, is a colleague I served with in the House. He's going to be great on this, and he's going to look at these things not from the science is settled, CO2 is nasty. He's looking at, it was just a pronouncement during the Obama administration, CO2 is a poisonous, horrific gas. Not according if you're a plant, So he's going to be re-looking at some of these things. And my colleague, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who I served with, he's looking immediately at this dumb high-speed rail project in California, which has quadrupled in price from what the voters were told back in 2008, $33 billion, to at least $130 billion now. And they've only been able to corral all this time, with all this effort and all this convincing, they've only come up with $19 billion to put towards it. They're still $110 billion short. They've already tapped the American taxpayer with up to $8 billion of federal money, the Californians with about $9 billion of top bond money. Where's the $110 billion to come from? It doesn't make a lick of sense. So when you got people in charge here that look at things from a common sense perspective, you got a chance now. And the EV mandates, when Mr. Zeldin is going to look at the EPA waiver that is granted to California, is this actually more harmful? Because federally, 49 state cars used to call them.
Right.
I have one, my Bronco. It's got a 4-barrel carburetor on the 351 because I found it. I was pretty happy with that.
Probably made it run a lot better too.
Sure. And so when he's going to look at these waivers that California keeps asking for, because they always just want to legislate for the heck of it, and as you said, it does affect other states. We're going to have a real look at this thing on EV mandates and the waiver California weaponizes to make us jump through hoops. Are we going to have our trucks anymore? Am I going to be able to haul my rice with the Peterbilts anymore? I already have one that I'm only allowed 1,000 miles per year on, and I have to get a bunch of special permits for that. My other ones got taken away from me a long time ago.
When I heard that now they want to do quarterly emissions on some of these as well.
How much time am I going to spend driving back and forth to the emission place making emissions while I'm doing it,
Right.
and while it's running
Or
there?
arrest mods that are burn cleaner, but because the referee says something is missing, we don't do these common sense things, and we don't do these
For a part you can't get anymore, maybe, right?
Sure.
I mean, I have a good
Is it
colleague-
cleaner or not? That should be the litmus test.
Well, that's what I always thought. Why don't they just measure at the tailpipe? You
And
got
be
a
done.
good running car. Who cares what's under the hood? Every hot rod I've ever talked to, or just regular guy with a pickup or something, why do they care what's under the hood? Because it gives them power.
Yeah.
Now, my good pal in the state Senate, Shannon Grove, I see has introduced a bill. I think it might be number 712 that I just saw it last night. That's going to make 35-year-old and older cars exempt. I
Hopefully
believe
rolling, I think.
I
too,
believe
right?
from the smog check. I hope it's rolling because
Fingers crossed.
I got a couple cars I'd like to
You and me both.
get into that too. Because honestly, I don't put that many miles on them. I collect them, I fix them up, but they don't get that many miles.
No, you just enjoy them.
in real life.
Gives you happiness.
Even though I'm paying insurance for them and all that
Yeah.
stuff, like it's probably kind of dumb, but we all get it as hot rodders. We don't care. We love the cars. We want to be able to drive them and use them without somebody following me around with a sniffer. And
doubt
it's just
about it.
it's ridiculous what California. So that's why the federal level, Lee Zeldin is going to be looking at this stuff on EPA waivers, and also Sean Duffy. Well, more on the dumb high-speed rail, which is supposed to replace cars or replace Southwest Airlines. So.
Not going to do either in my life.
We're getting a lot of good help here from the Trump administration on our basic freedoms to keep a gas stove, a gas car, a gas leaf blower.
I had an electric stove in my house, and we moved our water heater when it's a 65 house. Moved it to the outside, and so I had the stub line to where the water heater was in the closet, and I ran it to my kitchen so I could put in a gas stove and oven because I like to cook, right? And then when they're talking about taking it away, I'm like, over my dead body, you take away my gas stove, right?
Yeah, we'll bootleg the stuff, right?
Yeah, well,
So it's whatever we have to do because people are.
Can I
people are
call
tired.
you if I get in trouble?
Yeah, I'll bring a foot-long hot dog with a file in it and help bust you out of jail.
Deal.
So, but we need to back each other up on this, and the people that love the hobby, that love the industry, need to be vocal too. And when I watch these big three automakers and others just fly back here, like during the Obama administration, I think each one came in their own jet to just fight the CAFE standard back in 2009 or whichever year it was during the Obama era, and said, "Oh yeah, we can meet the 54.5 mile per gallon mandate." You're selling me out. You're selling your real customers out because most cars that people want to buy range somewhere around, I'd say, an average of 33 miles per gallon, or a little less or a little more. Notwithstanding the Prius drivers that want to feel good about themselves, but it's really taking away individual choice for things that are comfortable for them. What's good for
or
their
serve a
family.
need. My EV's not going to serve my need at my rural property or something like that. I need a truck for that.
Well, the dealer, when I go in and talk to them, there's a guy that comes up from Sacramento in the EV Ford pickup, and he's afraid that he can't go to all his stops on that charge. Like, well, what are we doing to ourselves?
Yeah.
You heard the story about the guy that bought a Ford electric and wanted to go camping with it, took his family, had it all up, he made it about 1 or 2 states away. He couldn't find any place to charge, and so he finally, I think, 2 states away, traded in and bought a Dodge diesel and finished his vacation, So we're forcing this on people, and the technology for batteries isn't there, the charging stations aren't there, And I think most people don't want to have to expend a vehicle that costs 150% for the same vehicle or so than what they're used to. They don't want to be forced into this stuff. And Newsom in California is cramming it down our throats by some of it by year 2030, some by 2035, whatever round number they make up.
Fast.
They pull it out of the air. It sounds good. You know, some by 2045 on getting rid of everything. So what I hope happens, and kind of has happened before, is that they'll hit the wall on the mandate and nobody's able to comply and nobody's able to have anything. CARB, I think in 1990, tried to make a rule that says 10% of all cars had to be zero emissions by 2000. You're driving around at the Ford dealer with a little golf cart thing. They called it, I think, a Think.
I think, yep.
Yeah, it looked like something Tattoo would use on Fantasy Island or something.
Yep.
And they put license plates on that. They tried to call that a car. Nobody's going to buy that thing unless you live on a golf course. You know?
Well, Congressman, I know you're busy. I really appreciate your time, and it's nice to know that we've got real people, real car people who are willing to have this type of back and forth. And as a fellow California resident, can we work on gas prices next?
Drill, baby, drill. And then you still have to relieve yourselves from the politicians in California that stop energy production and tax it to death. And they think of a new tax all the time. There's going to be a new 65-cent tax that they had to hold off on. I mean, how much are the people, the voters, going to put up with? You know, they think we're all going to go electric all the time, and that's going to be nirvana. Not a chance. So people need to wake up as to what their politicians are doing to them in California, as well as what they might be doing at the federal level. But Trump is really working to help save the day on our choices right now. So I'm really happy about last night and the direction he's going with his cabinet. So it's pretty exciting here, but when I land at home, I still feel like I'm landing in a bunch of alligators. So,
well, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. I better bolt. I got to get to the floor.
No problem.
Okay, we all set?
Yeah, we're good. Let me grab your lapel.
Oh, yeah, you need that back.
seal.